Matt, before we start, well, to start with, you're in Queensland right now. You're not in the direct firing line of Alfred, but what is the mood like on the ground in your state?
Oh, look, Shari, I think some people are a bit anxious. Of course, it's not normal for cyclones to be this far south, although it does happen from time to time. But most people in living memory probably haven't been through one. So it's a bit anxious for people. I suppose for us up here in North Queensland, it's a common occurrence. I'm confident that Queenslanders will get through this. With that more northern track now, the cyclone apparently should hit the mainland at least as maybe a lower speed, although we don't know where it's going to go exactly. But if that happens, the wind shouldn't be too high. I think the bigger issue for Brisbane, traditionally when cyclones do hit southeast Queensland, the bigger issue is the flood and the rain afterwards. And we're going to get a lot of rain in that catchment, and it is one that can flood. Now, at least that's something that can be dealt with some warning, and people just need to stay safe and out of those waters. But it can lead to a lot of damage and a big clean-up. So I'm sure the whole country will be there, as they have with other Brisbane floods, to help people recover.
Yeah, I think it is. You know, a lot of people are very concerned about how it's going to hit. There's also, of course, the question of whether Albanese will delay calling the federal election. He was poised to do that this Sunday, and he was pressed on this issue today by my colleague Kieran Gilbert.
You couldn't call an election in the face of a natural disaster like this. That's just not going to. I mean, that would be a tin ear, which you don't have. That couldn't happen, surely.
Kieran, I'm focused not on votes. I'm focused on lives. I'm focused on Australians, and Australians showing our character at this difficult time. You know, what I've been focused on, Kieran, is governing. We have a budget that we're prepared for, and we put out the time...
It sounds like you're delivering the budget.
Well, we put out the timetable of that last year, Kieran.
Don't you like Kieran's framing of that question? That would be a tin ear if you call the election this weekend, which I know you don't have. I don't know he doesn't have a tin ear. Good on KG for pressing him on that, Adam. It doesn't sound like the Prime Minister's ruled out calling the election. If he did, especially with the cyclone hitting on Saturday, I mean, Matt sounded a bit calm, but it could be catastrophic. We just don't know. I mean, he can't go to the polls on Sunday.
Look, that's certainly right. I think the preference for the government is not to have a budget on the 25th of March because they don't want to crystallise all of the bad economic data. And so the preference is the 12th of March. But if it's a... Yes, yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant, 12th of April. But if the storm is very, very bad, and that sadly seems very possible at the moment, then yes, he can't call an election. And so therefore it's more likely to be on the 3rd of May or the 17th of May, which is a full term. One of the other depressing things about this storm is all the lefties are jumping on it as an example of climate change, when I think the most empirical evidence suggests that the severity of these cyclones over time has actually been declining. Cyclone Alfred, actually, and it's worth pointing out, it actually has a man's name, which is interesting. I thought all these storms used to have women's names. Maybe this is DEI in meteorology. I don't know.
Meant to have Anthony.
It was meant to be Anthony. It was exactly.
They changed it.
That's exactly right. This was meant. Anthony was the next name on the list, but then I suppose they didn't want to politicise a cyclone, so they took the next name, which is Alfred. But Adam makes an interesting point because initially cyclones were all women's names until 1975.
That's right. Of course, famously Cyclone Tracy. This has also been a phenomenon in the US as well, where they used to have women's names and now they have men's names.
So
it's interesting.
DEI hitting the weather system.
I'm not against it. It's fine. It's fine.
Good to hear, Adam. And hopefully you aren't against these lockdowns, because of course we're very against the
These
COVID
are sensible
lockdowns.
Sensible lockdowns. They're not going to last 200 days, I hope.